Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Jason Howell is a producer of TNT, a host of All About Android. He also is a musician, and so whenever we get musical instruments and that kind of thing, we give them to you.
Absolutely.
Keith McMillan is a name I'm familiar with. We did another one of his devices.
The QNexus, which I was very fond of. It's kind of a super portable drum pad, but controller, essentially.
So this is a keyboard version of the same thing.
Yeah,
kind of.
so, it's actually very similar to the QNexus. Obviously, the form factor is a little different, and what they're doing here is to mimic a keyboard layout. This is called the QNexus. It's $149 from Keith McMillan. Just like the QNexus,
wow, that
it
is
started
affordable.
as a Kickstarter, which seems, Keith McMillan, they produce a lot of audio gear. It seems like Kickstarter they're using to kind of get a sense of what's going to be successful and roll it out. It's
not
kind of
make it until they get enough people buying it.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting approach for a staid and already established brand to do that.
Seeing this more and more. So
Yeah.
this is a MIDI controller, essentially?
Yeah, more or less it's a MIDI controller. It's a piano roll controller, as you can see here, pressure-sensitive drum pad. So the difference here
that's nice.
is to think of it less as... It's basically, it's a drum pad that happens to look like a piano, essentially. If you are a piano player, pianist, or, have any sort of sense of kind of, very delicate touch on keys and expecting, a different kind of reaction, probably not going to get that out of here. It's possible. Some of the demos show this thing to be screaming, and you have to imagine that the person that's playing, they really have spent a lot of time playing on this. But kind of its benefit, and it was the same as the QNexus, is just its insane portability. This thing is tiny, and which means that you can fit it into your laptop case. If you're a portable musician, this is the easiest thing in the world to throw into your case along with either your iPad or your laptop, whatever. It's kind of ridiculous to think that you'd go anywhere without it, actually, if you're a portable musician. The keys are velocity and pressure sensitive.
Oh, nice.
They also respond to tilt, meaning you can hold it down. I don't have a preset that shows it off, but you can hold it down and move your finger, and that'll kind of tilt the pitch up and down. All that is configurable on the back end. They have a really impressive software that allows you to kind of go in and really dial into all the keys.
So that's the question, because usually a MIDI controller is only as good as the software it's attached to. Yeah. Does this work with Logic and Ableton Live and all the traditional?
Yeah, so right now it's connected on the side here, micro USB into my USB port, and I've got it running into Pro Tools. I'm playing it upside down, so I'm not going to play anything very fancy, but just to kind of show you. And actually, Brian, if you turn off the lights real quick, you can kind of see, like the QNexus, you get a little bit of a light show as well. If that's important to you, I guess in a live like DJ setting environment, that's
what
nifty.
It's for, right?
Yeah, probably so.
So you could have each key trigger a sound or a loop, or
and that's kind of the beauty of a controller, right? It's laid out like a piano. It could really be anything you want. This could control lights if you wanted to, if you were hooking it up to the proper.
A lot of lights are MIDI, aren't they?
Yeah. So I think one of the big benefits of this is its connectivity. It not only does it do MIDI, it also has gate and control voltage out the side.
What's that mean?
And that essentially allows you to connect to hardware, like in many cases kind of like more analog old school hardware. Instead of being controlled by MIDI, might be controlled by CV, which is control voltage and gate.
And I see
so this allows
you can also connect it directly to an iPad. Does it require the special software on the iPad?
It requires merely the Apple's iPad camera connection kit, which I think is like $30.
That's the USB to Lightning adapter.
And then it plugs right in, and you can
use
like
GarageBand
Tractor DJ
or Tractor.
Pretty much all of those things. This is going to control it. That's why I say like it's kind of, if you do a lot of music making with your iPad, for example,
great for that.
Like why not have a tangible hardware device that you can connect easily with it that doesn't take up a lot of space. It's really cool.
Now, how do you compare this to the other
the QNexus?
That was $50 more. That's one thing, and bigger.
That was a little bit more. Their layouts kind of appeal to a different use case, right? Like this. A lot of musicians that are working inside the box, inside the computer, they spend their time working in a piano environment, working with synthesizers, and that requires a certain layout. So this is obviously very good for that particular approach. The QNexus was more of a drum pad approach, right? Having said that, they could each be used for the other thing if you really wanted to spend the time setting it up and performing on it in that way.
Pros and cons.
Pros, highly portable, obviously. Interconnectivity. There's a bunch more. I didn't explain the fact that it has this kind of MIDI expander capability, allowing you to plug it into any 5-port MIDI.
So you could daisy
port.
chain it.
Yeah, you could do that. It also has pedal functionality, so you can plug in a pedal and control expression.
Neat.
So it's very functional for what it is.
For
very
the price too. It's $150.
Yeah, $150.
That's a
Great price. The pads are pressure and tilt sensitive, so very flexible, and the editor is very expansive. The cons, I'd say finesse is not necessarily its strong suit.
You can't just touch a key.
If you're trying to go in there and really kind of play something soft and gentle, it's kind of hard to do.
Okay.
But then I'm also not, a career piano player. So,
right.
And then there over here, just real quick, there's a little bend pad over here, which is kind of like your wah-wah pedal or whatever.
Sometimes those are dials on kids.
Yeah, exactly. And this thing is so small that it almost makes it unusable. It's kind of funny that it's there, and you try and use it a couple of times. It's like, all right, you're probably not going to
doing any note bending here.
But that's a hard, I was kind of stretching to find cons on, to be honest.
Really?
It's definitely a buy. $150. It's easy to drop that, and it fits in a stocking.
I just ordered it for Henry on Amazon.
There you go.
Because he uses Logic. He's in college, doesn't have a lot of room in his dorm.
Totally.
It'd be perfect for him.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
He needs a keyboard.
Yeah.
Can you play something for us?
No.
Anything from Yellow Gold?
No, I can't, because it's all, any of the stuff that I play on a piano, I record and then I edit it endlessly,
Yeah, I know what
so
you
that
mean.
it actually sounds
You're not
okay.
a piano player.
I'm not a pianist by any stretch.
Awesome. That really looks great. That's the QNexus MIDI keyboard. Another nice product from Keith McMillan.
Absolutely. I'm really impressed with their stuff.
Yeah.